We've been preparing now for quite some time, but it is now finally time for us to upgrade to tier 4. Which the requirements for our heaven builders aren't all that difficult. Just the old sea pickle here, which is the only obstacle. Hell's builder huts, on the other hand, are a bit more difficult, seeing as these are going to require a lot of prismarine items. Which does then mean we need to go find ourselves an ocean monument. So yes, it's going to be another exploring episode. But just before we head out to find one, I'm going to prepare myself first, which I'm hoping that Hell is going to be able to help me out with that, which, by the looks of it, they definitely are. So we have 7 pieces of ancient debris, which I'm going to take over to our smelter build. And because our smelter is at tier 3, then they have the ability to actually make us more scraps from just these 7 alone. Which Emmeline here is now going to make those scraps for us, and she was able to turn those 7 pieces of ancient debris into 14 netherite scraps for us. So thank you kindly, Emmeline, but I know for a fact that our warehouse actually has a few more pieces for me, another 9 pieces to be precise, as well as all of the golden nuggets required to make my golden ingots. So next I need to head over to my other village of idiots and just get a few more enchants from them. Damn, these are getting expensive. But we now have everything to go ahead with our upgrade, so let's do it. Our very first piece of netherite gear. Just a few more scrap pieces and we'll finish off this ensemble. But it's time to head out and find us a monument, as well as to quickly stop off just to get some sea pickles. This is why we deliberately built near a warm ocean, because we are going to require an abundance of these items for our tier 4 and tier 5 builds. And also because of our new fancy map, it's pretty easy for us to be able to find these monuments. Hello chaps, let's get ready to party. Historically, whenever it comes to me doing these ocean monuments, I never really do them all that well. But we will be using our patented door technique just for a bit of respite. And as much as I appreciate that you guys are just here to defend your place, I really need your stuff, so sorry, not sorry. Thank you for the sponge though, and that's the second one down. No idea how many more we have to go. Found the sponge room at least. We will be back here shortly, just after we murder this guy, who was the last idiot that we had to kill down here, so we should be absolutely fine now mining out this area. And isn't this just rather handy? So it's basically anything prismarine that we can get our hands on that we will mine up here, including those sea lanterns, as these are going to be all of the stuff that they're now going to start asking for. Really, don't mind me guys, just destroying your home here so that my people can make their homes a little bit better. Whether that comes at the expense of you chaps becoming homeless, well, you'll just need to take it up with my villagers then. But thanks for the treasure here as well guys, it's all very much appreciated. Well, I think I've ruined their lives just enough at the moment, so let's head back with all of our new goodies. Hello guys, I'm afraid this is my boat, so you will need to vacate it. I really hope our citizens are proud of themselves, making me rip down those poor creatures' homes, just so that they have some new decoration for their own houses. Well chaps, I am back, so let's get these buildings upgraded. Because I know that our citizens are going to require a lot of these type of coral items, as well as these sea pickles here, I don't always want to have to go out to the ocean to get them, and I've always had plans for this area here to flood it with water. So I wonder if I could place a row or two of these ice blocks just along the river here. Will they then be able to melt and have water come down to fill this area? Interesting. So hopefully by placing a few more torches over the rest of these ice blocks here, we can get the rest of them to melt And I do have a few more pieces of ice to try this with, so I will see just how much of this area I can get flooded at the moment. If this idea here can actually work out, then I will definitely need to go back to that ice biome just for a few more pieces of it. But so far, so good. It is a bit patchy, but it's going to do for just now. So let's put down some of these coral blocks that we got then. And we will essentially build up our own form of coral reef, which I can then place down our sea pickles on top of, and hopefully with some bone meal we can get those to grow. Not quite. It just had to be put on a specific type of coral. Okay, so that works. But we have now essentially made our own form of worm ocean right inside our heaven colony. So that is actually pretty neat. And a nice easy way for us to get these items for these new builds. And I have seen and have appreciated the fact that the builders here have continued to build whilst I was pissing about there with that water. But it is now time for them to come here and upgrade their own buildings. Which Luella is the final builder that I have to come to, so you upgrade your own building. And you're working on a decoration at the moment, but I'm cancelling that. I want you to put priority onto upgrading your own hut. The same goes for you builders here in hell, so Corrine, upgrade your building as well. And that's all of the builders in hell now being told to upgrade their building huts here as well. So a couple of them are currently working on some other builds, which I will let them finish. But right afterwards, they're coming straight to their huts to upgrade. I appreciate whoever just upgraded the plantation there. Back in heaven, I have seen that Ava has started her builder's hut, and come to think of it, it may have been herself who had just upgraded the plantation. Elia is also upgrading her builder's hut, and she has everything here already, just apart from the soul sand. Which in hindsight, I probably should have fired some over from hell. I will go do that quickly though. But I'm deliberately wanting to stay away from hell at the moment, just so that they can get on with their builds and not be killed by any mobs. So it will be brief visits to hell just to see what they're getting up to and if I can assist them with anything. But so far, so good. Cyrus here in heaven is upgrading his citizen's hut at the moment to tier 3. Really wish he would get on with this so that he could move on to his builder's hut. The same story with Andy actually, although she seems to pretty much be done with it. Luella is pretty much in the same position as Elia and Ava. She is constructing her own hut at the moment. A lot of items are going to come to her, but she will just need to wait on the soul sand being delivered. And I seen that Andy had just finished off her citizen's hut and has now moved on to the lumberjack, so that is not happening. Get your ass straight back here right now, Andy. Upgrade your hut.
Not good enough, eh?
Definitely not. So this is our plantation, now up at tier 3, and it's looking pretty nice. But I think after we get some research done, then we can have Mara starting to plant and grow 3 different type of plants here. And that research is Double Trouble, which does require a few different things, but unfortunately it's only 2 crops at once, not 3. But regardless, we'll go for it anyway. And hopefully that has been enough stalling to allow our builders to have continued on a little bit more, so let's go quickly check on them. They are all starting to shout about soul sand at the moment, so they must be making some pretty good progress here. In comparison to upgrading from tier 2 to tier 3, I think going from tier 3 to tier 4 is actually a pretty simple process. Tier 3 buildings are the midway point of upgrading all of the buildings and pretty much the foundations of what the buildings will look like at tier 5. Where the tier 4 upgrade is probably just adding some more cosmetic decorations to the build rather than adding any new extensions to the build. So tier 4 in theory should actually be very, very simple for them to make. But they do all seem to be waiting on the soul sand coming over at the moment. So let's head over to Hell, see what's holding them up there, and how they're getting on. Corrine over here is upgrading a citizen's hut to tier 3, and she is about 50% done with it. Charlie has started another deliveryman hut, although she has everything she requires from it, just apart from these 2 items. So I may let her do that very, very quickly. Jayla is upgrading her own builder's hut to tier 3. She is nearly done with it, but I thought we were well past the point of upgrading the builders to tier 3. This is Jayla's hut here, just above the university, and I've seen that we have completed their hut's upgrade and moved straight on to do a citizen's house to tier 3, which, nope. We will get you upgrading your hut to tier 4 instead. Which she's now picked that work order up, so good job Jayla, let me know what you need. We don't yet have in another builder for whatever builder that was, or indeed whatever building that this is. And finally we have Dean, who is upgrading his own builder's hut to tier 3, which again I thought we were long past that. Well, at least in the open request list, we are starting to get in some requests for these prismarine items, which we have a rather interesting recipe list here for it, that apparently our stonemason knows how to make. That is interesting to know, but I've got some prismarine with me, so we'll go to the warehouse and drop some off. Actually, before I do, I should have looked down the request list a bit more, because we are definitely getting a lot more requests for a lot of different items now, which the red sandstone stairs are going to be interesting to make for them, seeing as we'll need some red sand, which I can make with regular sand and red dye, but this is actually a dyer's hut recipe that they could learn, if we didn't want to collect our own, that is. But I'll make the red sand for now, and then teach the stonemason how to make red sandstone with it, and then how to turn that red sandstone into the red sandstone stairs. Try say that 5 times fast. And for the smooth red sandstone, we need to come to our stone smeltery build, and then teach them how to turn the red sandstone into the smooth red sandstone. Sandstone doesn't even sound like a real word to me anymore, I've said it that much. As for the dark prismarine stairs, that's just a very simple recipe which we can teach to our stonemason. So I'm hoping now that if I put all of the sand and prismarine items into our warehouse, then those requests will all come off of the list, which they all have apart from the smooth red sandstone, which is because we don't have a worker inside the stone smeltery build. So I've grabbed a stack of soul sand from hell, and I'll make and fire over some smooth red sandstone once I'm back in heaven. Right Ava, special delivery. Same to you Elia, as well as you Andy, and you too Luella. And Elia is first finished with her tier 4 builder's hut. So that is the very first tier 4 build in both of our colonies. Now just to take this sand over to Cyrus, and that should be all of the builders here in heaven then set up with their builds, with Andy being the second builder to upgrade their hut. Nice one. And just before I head over to check out our new tier 4 builder's hut, I hopefully will have had some of this smooth red sandstone made for us, which we are going to load right into this chest, and that is going to fire straight over into hell, and hopefully that will then allow the builders there to continue building. And here is our new tier 4 builder's hut, which, yup, not too much has changed on the outside of it, and on the inside, pretty much the same story, all just cosmetic. But well done Elia, the first tier 4 build of our colonies. Good job pal. And I certainly know who's going to have their builder's hut up last. Here's your damn lantern Cyrus, hurry up already. I just missed it, but that's Ava now completed her tier 4 builder's hut, so good job Ava. Let's quickly go over and check on Luella just before we head back over to Hell. And seeing as Luella is clearly sick at the moment, then I don't think she's going to make too much progress. Alrighty then chaps, how are we getting on here then? The answer being not too well. Jayla is the only one upgrading their hut at the moment, although that's Dean just upgraded his to tier 3. And as much as I appreciate him moving on to upgrade to Fletcher next, I want you to upgrade your own hut to tier 4 first. We really haven't made much of a start at all on these upgrades yet, so I think we'll spend a bit of time helping them get the items required for it, which at least they already have a lot of materials in for us to make a start with. And they still have an absolute ludicrous amount of eggs within their warehouse, but fortunately I have installed a fancy new system just to get rid of them. What's that? 10,000 eggs within our warehouse? Well, let's get rid of half of them. Which, yes, will take up our courier's time to deliver them to the post box, but they will then be removed from the warehouse one way or another. Anyway, back to this fun stuff, which, to be fair, our couriers are managing to handle it all pretty well. I've also just noticed that this is where Charlie is building the deliveryman hut at the moment. What are we betting that they fall straight into that lava just beneath them? What will it be, Charlie? 99% done with one more torch to go? Then we go for a nice swim? How does that sound? Because that's what your predecessor did. Bloody florist. No, they are at least being a bit more sensible here by covering it up. But I do want you to get onto your own builder's hut today, Charlie. This is really nice and it will help with the delivery system, but today it's all about tier 4. Well, as far as I'm aware, that's pretty much every item for these builds now made and stored within the warehouse. So it's just a case of waiting on our couriers now delivering those items to them. And seeing as Jayla is pretty much 50% supplied with all of the items for her build, I think I'll just wait around here to see it constructed to tier 4 first. And she's already making a start in her basement. Good stuff. With the sheer amount of shingles and slate items needed, I am going to assume we are finally going to get a roof on these builds, which will be nice, just for a bit more protection in here. There is something so very satisfying with just sitting back and watching them build. Even more so whenever nasty buggers like that can't actually get to them. Although, prudence, yes, thank you. We are 97% done with our builder's hut, so very, very shortly we're going to have this done. And I do have to admit, it's looking not too shabby. And there it is. Well done, Jayla, our first tier 4 builder in Hell. Which definitely looks a lot cozier inside now. That roof definitely makes all of the difference. And the build's basement is looking pretty decent as well. Our other builders are slowly starting to receive in the items for their builds now, so it's pretty much just a waiting game. Waiting on our delivery system, getting those items to them. So I am very happy with leaving Hell at the moment, for a multitude of reasons. But I am over the moon today with all of the progress that all of our builders have made. We now have tier 4 builders in both of our colonies, which means we can now start upgrading everything once again. And I'm even more pleased with the upgrade to myself. So we still have a lot more work to be done, but I think we've done not too bad for today.